Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday to everyone. Welcome to our September Fireside Chat. So I hope that everyone is enjoying this fall season. It's my favorite season, I have to say, by far, hands down. When I first moved here, that was the only thing I had a little bit of twinge of, am I going to get a fall here? I wasn't sure, but it was glorious last year, and it looks like we're on par for another glorious fall. I love football. I love the apples and all things pumpkin. It's back to school, Halloween, and then, that kind of month long celebration we start at Thanksgiving and then we like run it out clear through the end of the year. That's what fall, means to me. Fall means change. And I'm someone who I've not only always embraced change, I've needed it. But I'm finding myself these days kind of wanting to hold on to the present just a little while longer. And so I had to think about it like, oh my gosh, is this a reflection of age? Why, why? Why am I just a little bit not resistant to change, but really just kind of enjoying things the way they are? And I believe, to be honest with you, and when I think about, this serenity prayer or serenity message, it really is. I learned some lessons like we all do once we live for a long time. And my biggest lesson was that I can't fix everything. It was something that I really felt. I used to go kind of full speed ahead trying to fix everything. And what that did, that made me really have a lack of satisfaction because there was always something to fix. So when I got my kind of rude awakening that, no matter how hard you go at this, you're not going to be able to fix everything. What I did discover was more satisfaction. But it's in that satisfaction that I'm a little less excited about change. So Horizon House, and I started thinking about, just this fall and, like we always do in the fall, we kind of hold on just a little while longer. It really made me think about Horizon House as an organization, as your home. And we are in a season of fall. We really are. And I think about this serenity message or prayer that we all know, and it's something that I have to refer back to around, accepting the things you can't change, the courage to change the things that you can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So important. We've been processing these coming changes for 2026 for several years now. It's a long time to be processing something. But now that we're inching closer to 2025, we are transitioning our processing to actually planning. We're actively planning for it. But I hope that all of you will join me in really leaning in to our life experience and our wisdom around change. We know that we can endure it. Think about over our entire lifetime. One of the things I've really enjoyed about getting to know all of you is that, some things that I've had like, oh my gosh, all these things that are happening, many of you have a sense of calmness about it because you've been there. You've seen crisis. You've seen all kinds of things, both in our world, in life. And so now that we are, in a season of change, and we are in a season of change, let's lean into our experience and our wisdom. We know, especially in the Pacific Northwest, that we can get through those kind of proverbial winters. We know that on the other end of that is the renewal of spring and the glorious summer. And so that really is what this season does represent for us. However, in the meantime, let's enjoy this fall to the fullest. And let's just hang on to this present moment just a little while longer. And today we have a full agenda, as we always do. I'm going to turn it over to Paulette to do the new staff announcements or introductions to the community, and then we'll continue to roll from there, and hopefully we'll be on time today, but we do have a lot of information, so hold on to your seats.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. I will be introducing our new staff members to you. I've had the privilege of meeting all of them as the HR generalist. First, I would like to introduce There we go. Janice Anderson. Some of you may have already seen her, met her. She is our front desk associate. Prior to coming to Horizon House, Janice worked in the legal field. She also has a bachelor's degree in education, and we really enjoy her. She's very pleasant. And next, I would like to introduce Eden Dugan. Prior to coming to Horizon House, we recruited her from Mary Swartz Summit, where she was a housekeeper for 5 years. Next, I would like to introduce Emmanuel Tolentino. Many of you may have already seen him as part of Morrison Dining Services. Emmanuel is now on the call employee as part of our valet service, and we want to welcome him to that new role. And there we go. And next we have Jezebel Romero. We want to welcome her back. She is returning to Horizon House as a part-time elder care assistant. And next, we would like to introduce Kanti Magta. She is one of my colleagues as a HR consultant. She actually is a SME in compensation and benefits, leave absences, operations management. Prior to coming back to Horizon House, Kanti worked at Amazon. She also holds a MBA and bachelor's degree in computer science from Mumbai. And next, I would like to introduce to you Lillian Araza. She just is a wonderful person. She has a very compassionate spirit. She is originally from Nairobi, Kenya. She worked at many different healthcare organizations in Nairobi and here in the U.S. She also has a finance and accounting background. She received her master's degree from the University of Nairobi. And next we have Edgar Bett. He is also one of our new CNAs. Prior to coming to Horizon House, he worked as a CNA for Majestic Senior Care and home health a home health aide in Kenya. Edgar recently completed his bachelor's degree in economics, also from the University of Nairobi. And so that's it for our new staff. I also want to acknowledge a milestone, and that is Sinai. Sinai is part of our EVS tech team, and he just hit his 5th year of employment with Horizon House. Thank you so much. Next, I will introduce to you our Valerie, our sales manager. Thank you.
Thanks, Paulette. I didn't mean to rush you off there. It is my pleasure once again to introduce some of our newest residents. I didn't prepare you for this, but would you mind just standing up for just a moment so your new neighbors can see your smiling faces, Shan and Emmett? It's my pleasure to introduce you to Shan Cretin and Emmett Keeler. Shan and Emmett moved to Horizon House from Santa Monica to be near their family. Shan was born in New Orleans and has lived in a variety of places, both in the U.S. and abroad. Check out HH Connect. It was too many to list. She earned her bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering and PhD in operations research from MIT and master's in public health from Yale, and worked as a biostatistics professor at Harvard, professor of health services at UCLA, and as a healthcare consultant and regional director and general secretary at American Friends Service Committee. Shan is a member of Angel City Chorale, Ribbons and Soul Square Dance Club, the California Endowment, and Guild of American Luthiers. She's interested in building and playing guitars, square dancing, and singing. Emmett was born in West Point, New York. He earned his BA from Oberlin College and PhD in mathematics from Harvard, and worked as a health researcher and professor at Rand and UCLA. He's a member of Angel City Chorale, National Academy of Medicine, and ACBL. He's interested in bridge, puzzles, tennis, golf, singing, and square dancing. Welcome to Horizon House. And I believe Lorraine is representing the McConaugheys today. Lorraine was born in East Orange, New Jersey. She earned her BA in Classics from University of Washington, along with her BA and MA in History. Lorraine is an active volunteer with strong ties to Mohi, and if you've been there, you know I'm putting that mildly, and has volunteered for WSHS and the Lemelson Center for Study and Innovation at the Smithsonian. She belongs to the American Association for State and Local History, National Council on Public History, Mohi, Woodland Park Zoo, Planned Parenthood, KCTS, and ACLU. Robert is here in spirit, but not with us. Robert was born in Jersey City. He earned his BS in mechanical engineering from Clarkson College and is a Washington professional engineer working with medical devices and Stirling powdered generators, who holds numerous patents. And I had to look it up. Stirling engines are heat engines, which still doesn't mean anything else to me, but he's interested in Stirling engines, model airplanes, and aerospace from Goddard to SpaceX. Welcome to Horizon House, Lorraine and Robert. And Martha, are you here? Okay, she was hoping to join us this morning. I will introduce her and hope that you'll have an opportunity to meet her in person soon. Martha was born in Rochester, New York, and currently spends time between both Seattle and a home in Merida, Mexico. She earned bachelor's, and jurisprudence degrees and worked in nonprofit management as a lawyer and chaplain and volunteered with the Peace Corps. Martha is a member of SFSC, FCNL, couldn't find either of those online, ACLU, and the Southern Poverty Law Center, and is interested in national and local legislation, hand sewing, and watercolor painting. Welcome, Martha. And it is my pleasure to introduce Lori, who will give an update on vaccines, which we thank you for.
Thanks, Valerie. Good morning. All of our new residents, I'm sure you have been summoned by now for some committee work with those terrific backgrounds. All right, so we have some exciting news with vaccine events coming up. Hopefully some of you have signed up already. We have a full roster for October 8th. And then we will have our second and final vaccine event on the 29th of October. So stay tuned, because there will be a memo coming out when appointments open up for that second vaccine event. I want to remind everyone that for these vaccine events, when you sign up for your appointment, it is a half-hour window. So you don't all have to rush in 15 minutes before your appointment. That will help keep the flow going so that you're not having to wait as long. So just know if you have a 10 o'clock appointment, for example, you can arrive between 10 and 10:30, and that way we can get you in a more timely fashion. So we will look forward to having those of you sign up for October 8th to come and get you vaccinated for flu and or COVID and or RSV. A reminder, because I'm still getting questions about RSV, that is a one-time approved vaccine, unless you are between the young ages of 60 and 74, and your provider has strongly recommended you receive a second RSV vaccine based on health conditions. So if you had your RSV vaccine last year, you do not need another one unless your provider has recommended it. Free COVID test kits are available now. I mentioned a while ago that federal government was going to come through. They are now available. Please be sure to go to the link, and it is also on HH Connect, or will be very soon. and order 4 more free test kits per household. Really want to encourage you, as I've shared before, those test kits need to be a part of your medicine cabinet, just as you have Band-Aids and Neosporin and perhaps aspirin. So please order them, because you never know when you get the notification that you have had an exposure, or if you are not feeling well and have symptoms that could be COVID, it's wise to test. So please order those. In terms of COVID cases, where we're at, the good news is the numbers are dropping. We have a total of 9 active cases. I can tell you that some of those residents are in assisted living and will be ending isolation over the weekend. They are doing well. So we currently have 3 independent living residents still recovering, 4 assisted living residents, 1 assisted living staff member, and 1 independent living staff member, for a total of 9. So it is coming down. I just want to remind you that we continue to keep HH Connect updated. It will be updated later today after we do another full round of assisted living testing. And while we did experience more cases recently, unless we get notification and direction from King County Public Health or Department of Health, we will not be closing activities or modifying activities. This is part of life, unfortunately. And so the masks remain optional and will need to be at your discretion and decision based on your comfort level, based on whether you go to large gatherings here or outside, and what your comfort level is. So I know there's been some questions raised by just a very few number of individuals. Should we be closing or should we be modifying activities? I know that a question came up not long ago about singing. And there are some singing groups here, which is wonderful. And again, as Horizon House, we will not be mandating that you wear masks, but be aware of the education. There is evidence that shows singing portrays a higher risk activity. So if masks are not being worn by choice, I would advocate for good social distancing if the space permits for that. So again, it comes down to individual choices. And just a reminder as well that if you are showing symptoms that could be COVID, it is very common to initially test negative when you test yourself if you truly have COVID. Many are not converting to a positive test result sometimes until 2 to 5 days into an active infection. So that is what's tricky about this darn virus. So I'm asking, if you feel symptoms, even if you test negative, the wise guidance is to just simply hunker down in your apartment. And if you must go out, wear a mask. That should be true of any kind of symptoms. Wear a mask, because influenza can be transmittable and other respiratory illnesses such as colds. So wear a mask, protect each other. And certainly test yourself again in another day or 2, and you may end up being positive if it is a true COVID infection. So continue reaching out to me if you feel you may have COVID or have been confirmed positive, okay? And want to remind you to be sure to watch Christina Coulter, I believe is how you pronounce her last name. That is a great connection that Barry Eben has brought to us in this community. I was not able to attend, but she did present here. Hopefully many of you were able to attend back on September 11. The recording of that is available on HH Connect. It was rerun again on 370. Please watch it if you haven't. She's an excellent presenter. She talks about the different respiratory illnesses, the current COVID strains. She also provides some really wonderful guidance on masking and making that personal choice and the psychological impacts of those decisions. So I encourage you to watch that if you haven't yet. And a couple more quick announcements. I'm very excited to share that we have a candidate for the Care Navigator position, and we are waiting for all the boxes to get checked and screens to be cleared. So we hope that that will be completed sometime early next week. And if we get the green light from HR, then I will be sending out a memo probably later next week introducing the candidate, the background. If this is a go, I can tell you this will be a wonderful, wonderful addition to our community. A rich background, but I won't spare any more details until we get that official word. But stay tuned for a hopeful memo going out later next week on that. And finally, I'm sure many of you have heard, perhaps some not if you don't use home care services, but Can Do is closing. Yeah. So Melissa Fowl, who birthed Can Do over 30 years ago and has been in the Horizon House community for over 30 years, made the very, very difficult decision to close Can Do. I know many, many residents over 30 plus years have benefited greatly from her services. Home care is a hard business to operate. It's financially difficult to operate. And so it was with great, heartfelt pull for her to close the home care business. Melissa reached out to several different home care companies and made the decision to partner with C-Care, another very, very strong, reputable home care organization. They're based out of Bellevue. And Brianna is the co-owner of that, Brianna Buschofferger. Don't quote me on the last name. She is working very closely with Melissa and Manilyn, who is part of Can Do, to do a very warm, thoughtful transition of current Can Do clients over to C-Care. Obviously, you all have choice as long as you use a licensed home care agency, but my understanding is virtually all clients are going to be transitioning to C-Care. What I want to emphasize is Can Do has operated a very unique, unusual model. Home care requires traditional home care, and every other home care agency has a minimum 4 to 6 hour requirement for home care services. And those minimum requirements are increasing because it is expensive to find labor, and it is hard to find workers willing to do short stints of home care. So to make it more attractive for the workers, more home care companies have moved to even 6 hour minimum requirements. So Can Do has offered a unique model of as low as 15-minute increments. Doesn't exist. That being said, C-Care, recognizing how important that model of service has been to many of you in this community, has agreed to continue that model of service. The other very unique thing with Can Do is they have charged significantly lower prices than is standard in the home care world across the country. So while C-Care has agreed to maintain the same model of service, the rates will be much more in line with what is traditional of home care, so they are higher rates. So I just want to let you know, in case you hadn't heard, that Melissa is closing, and her last day and Can Do's last day will be on the 13th of October, with C-Care resuming care for those who elect to move over on October 14. The Can Do caregivers have the option to apply for work with C-Care, and some of those caregivers may very much want to go over to C-Care if they are hired, and some may make other choices. I can tell you that C-Care offers benefits to its employees, and I know that that's a big draw for our precious healthcare labor resources, and so I was really delighted to hear that. So you'll be seeing more of Brianna around the community. She is terrific, compassionate. It's a family-owned, not a chain, home care company, and I think that was a big draw for Melissa. So stay tuned as more evolves on that front. Certainly with any home care, if you see concerns, don't hesitate to reach out. All right, that is all I have. Oh, I do want to say I have large thank you cards outside of my office on the table with the printer. Feel free, if any of you would like to drop by and sign a note of thanks for Melissa or Manilyn, please do so. It's available outside my office anytime. All right, without further ado, I'm going to bring up Amanda. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. Thanks, Lori. And I was thinking I still have a lot to learn, I think, because I still want to fix everything. And I'm always up for a change and a challenge. So I guess maybe I'm in the right role for that right now, but there's some growing and learning to do in the future. Just wanted to say good morning, touch base again as your community director of resident experience. I think people are starting to understand a little bit more about what I do. But in addition to managing the front desk team and the salon, just do some project teams on improving the experience at Horizon House. I've been working with the welcoming committee to reestablish some new resident orientations. I lead a multi-department group on new resident move-ins and making sure that we're all working together as team members here to make life better for you as residents. Also, one of the big things I'm hoping to continue to kick off is getting feedback from residents on really anything and everything. So back in the spring, we kicked off Suggestions for Success. There's a few ways. This is an online form on HH Connect, right? There's also, I feel like there's also a email and a phone number. And this is just a way for us as a community to hear from you. All sorts of reasons why. It's a way for us to obtain feedback, things that we're doing well, things that we're not doing well, a place to say, hey, I had a great interaction with a team member, just a way for us to get information. Monitoring trends. If we're getting several comments about one thing or another, we can keep an eye on it. Also generate ideas. If you have a thought that could improve things, or like I said, if there's a problem that you have, it creates conversation and dialogue. And overall, improve our resident experience. Through the form, you can ask questions, file a complaint. It can be anonymous. You know, I've gotten a few anonymous suggestions, which is okay. I think, you know, it's good to feel like you can voice your concerns. Also, just get, you know, just maybe questions that people feel like are dumb questions or they don't know who to ask. So where do I find those green post forms? Does everybody have their post form? Do they know where to find them? Front desk has them. Your post form is your care directives. Yep, so yes. So stop by the front desk and pick up a post form. You can take it to your primary care physician next time you go and sign off on what your care directives are. So if you ever have an emergency situation, the first responders know what to do for you. It's important. All right. I got a complaint. They only had 10 bistro specials for lunch. It was a popular item. There's usually 20. What was going on? I could talk to Jeff and find out the reasons why. Took several weeks for reception to make a new name tag for somebody. What the heck? Our machine was broken. And then we bought counterfeit ink. It was a thing. It was a thing, but we can answer those questions, right? Instead of just stomping around the community like, I can't believe those people didn't do my thing. You can let us know. Let us know so we can document and respond. And I will say, so everything's documented. I document when the questions come in, my follow-up to you, or my follow-up to other departments. And like I said, and we can report out. So we've solved for a few things. One of the things we've done is we've improved our taxi and ride share reimbursement program. I don't know if you've noticed, but used to turn everything into the front desk. It was the end of the month, and Jess would frantically put things in. We've improved the system, so as you're turning in receipts, there should be like a 24 to 48 hour turnaround for those to be input. And check your K4. All right, well, we'll check, because there's a big cadence. We're working with reception, concierge, and Sandy to improve that process. So it should be starting. But if you have questions or concerns, document it and let me know. I can follow up. We've established a better housekeeping regimen for the pool locker rooms. Somebody had said, hey, these mats aren't getting cleaned the way that we want. And they're, right, is it working? Yeah, see? Thanks to someone's suggestion. All right, and we've improved the visibility of billed services. There were some questions like with package delivery and housekeeping services and that sort of stuff. That can all be found on HH Connect, but we didn't really have a full roster of things that we were charging for. There were some questions about that. So, so we've updated that price list. And you can probably find that too on this helpful info, and HH Direct Services, I think, is where that is. But so yeah, I just wanted to remind you guys that I'm here to help try and fix things until I decide that I don't need to do that anymore. All right, and I'll pass to Joan.
Thanks, Amanda. So, hi, everybody. So it's fall, and fall, ooh, I need to stay in the middle or Risa will yell at me. And hi, everybody at home. So it's fall, and I worked in education for many years. And so fall for me is always back to school. Okay, so you'll be happy to know that I won't be asking you, now that we're all back in the house, I won't be asking you for an essay for what you did on your summer vacation, okay? But since it's September, a new school year, I think it's time for a review, a refresher, and a roundup of some basic communication information. Now, if you're a new resident and you've recently come to a communications orientation, you might be able to just take a little nap right now. So I'm going to do some review. So our goal in serving you in the communications team is effective communications. And that means communications should be timely, accurate, clear, and consistent. Now, our communication channels, and many of you are all familiar with all of these, but let's go through it. So these are the internal communication channels that you deal with, okay, where you get your information. The alert, elevator signs, all resident emails, or all resident memos that come to you through email. HH Connect, digital signage, which is also shown not only in the common areas around campus, but also on HHTV. We have the K4 mobile app and Alexa, and then resident voicemail notices. Our external channels are the Horizon House website, social media, and I just want to add a little bonus, is the communication newsletters. While not an official channel, it's a newsletter that we produce and send via email every month to help you navigate our digital world. Because as you know, more and more things are being done digitally, which is very efficient, covers the most people. But I want to emphasize that we build in redundancy to almost all of the communications that we do. I want to just give you two examples. The alert, there are printed copies. You find them in the mailroom, of course. We now email the alert to all residents, and it's posted on HH Connect. So you have count them, three ways to read the alert. Now let me give you another example with a planned disruption. That would be something about a big impact with renovations affecting independent living. So a planned disruption would include mentioning it in the alert, email memo plus some printed copies in the mailroom, posted on HH Connect, on the digital signs including HHTV, and on the K4 mobile app and Alexa. So we know that it's different strokes for different folks. People like to get information the way they like to get it, and we try to serve you in that. One thing I'd like to just mention is that we do try to be responsive. We do try to be responsive to you, but just wanted to remind you that communications is one of the departments that serves the whole herd. So in addition to you, we serve lots of stuff here. Okay, now I want to zero in a little bit on some things where there have been some questions or where we want to just provide a little clarification. Elevator signage, you see Gumby and Pokey there, they're buds, okay? Elevator signage is the alert's sidekick. So elevator signs are specifically to post resident events from the alert. So we just don't stick up random signs. They're derived specifically from the alert. There's one panel reserved for admin announcements which come periodically. Just to let you know, for all of the elevators, when all 11 elevators are operating, we do 55 signs per day, 385 per week. Now you think a dumb sign hanging in an elevator is not a big process. Let me tell you, it is a very detailed process. We post 2 days events every day. Now here's the tricky part. They're posted overnight by security. Why? Because in communications, our team does not work 24 hours a day. So you all are lively, you have events going late into the night. Security team takes down the old signs, puts up the new signs. It ain't perfect, as you probably know. Sometimes there are misses. Sometimes, why does an XYZ elevator have any signs in it? Well, there might be a new security person who missed one. Or that there's a raft of reasons. But I think we're like pretty much 90%, 95% good with that. So I just wanted to clarify that a little bit. I'd also like to mosey on over to the K4 Ranch. So K4, again to explain, is just a company. It's called K4, right? They build tech tools for senior living communities. We use at Horizon House HHTV, which is how your programs appear. We have an administrative hub where all of these things are administered through. Through K4, we produce all the digital signage that you see on all the displays. There's Alexa Voice and the mobile app, and I've put those in a different color because you interact with those, okay? You only hear Alexa Voice if you choose to. If you have an Alexa Echo Dot in your unit, you can use it to hear lots of things like the Horizon House events, meals, etc., daily. I want to focus on the K4 mobile app, which is meant to be mobile, like on a phone or on your tablet device. And I'd encourage you, if you're at all inclined, to use it because it's pretty nifty, okay? You can check your Horizon House, you can check all of Horizon House info and notices when you're on the go. If you're away from a Horizon House, you just have your phone, you can get information on your phone that has been posted on the K4 app. You can see your dining account balances. You can see your resident service charges. You know, our weekly menu is really big and has a lot of graphics, the physical menu. On K4, you can see the weekly menu, just the food and the prices. Oh, what's the special for today? You can go right on the K4 app and see that and what it costs. Newer is that you can sign up for grocery van and Horizon House trips, your own self, right from the K4 app. Last, I'd like to mention HH Connect, which I'm calling the Big Corral, because it is the main repository for information for residents on our intranet called HH Connect. And many of the things that have been mentioned today are found on HH Connect. Now, as the main repository of information, we'd just like to emphasize that we had 5,000 page visits. 5,000 visits to HH Connect in June. That's the last month that we have data for. And our top pages viewed are, you may be interested to know, the resident directory, dining info and the menu, read the alert, dining reservations, well-being health updates, so that would be the COVID updates, staff departments, resident council and committees, in memoriam, and in June, the helpful info and resources, where a lot of the forms and documents are listed, and the resident bulletin board. So we didn't just make this up. We have a plug-in, which is a little piece of software, and we get Google Analytics. Because it's online, Google can feed back analytics that give us these metrics. So it's been, it's very good for us to know who's looking at what. So I just thought you would be interested in that. And because there is so much information on HH Connect, we would like you all to join the rodeo and take one of Emily's classes. If you are interested in the mobile app, if you might be interested in using the Horizon House issued Alexa Echo Dot, or you want to know about what's on HH Connect, she is your guide. And particularly for HH Connect, we'll get questions about, where do you guys have the blah, 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 blah? And it's just, what's on HH Connect? Just look here. And so I would encourage you to avail yourself of HH Connect. And the best way to learn it, to get comfortable with it, is to take a class from Emily. And there are 2 classes this week that they're always posted in the alert, but there's 2 upcoming this week. Last, well, that's not quite last, but in October, we would like partners to hear from you. We're going to issue a 10-question communication survey, and we would love for you to respond. Again, this is for knowing how you use our communication channels and how we might be able to improve. Last, who's a UW alum? Okay, there's quite a few of you. So here is the front of the UW magazine, the alumni magazine, and to the right is our latest ad, Vibrant Living Every Day, that again shows the day in the life of some Horizon House residents, in this case, Karen Fern and Judy Stone Goldman, which when you go to the website, you see a whole day in the life vignettes about how Karen spends a day at Horizon House. Upcoming future ads, this is a quarterly magazine, future ads will feature Danny and Jack Carr and John Shadoff and Bill Kepper. So we're excited about that. Last, the Outlook magazine, which I publish every year, is coming out next month. It's 2024 magazine, which includes the 2023 annual report. The Outlook is always thematic in nature. This year, it's the power of connection, which we know is so important at Horizon House. It really is meant to highlight the Horizon House community, and it is we want people who don't live here, who see it, to get excited about what's great about Horizon House. And so it will be available to you in the mailroom and also sent to future residents on the waiting list. So with that, I thank you, and I welcome Brian Holtz. There he is, hiding.
Thank you, Joan. With the roundup, I would say howdy, because Joan had that theme going. I have my Seahawks shirt on because we do the Blue Friday, and we play on Monday, and Erica's from Detroit, so we're playing the Lions, Erica. We're going to have our hands full, so we'll have a fun rivalry with Erica, as it should be, right? So, and our beloved Mariners aren't playing in the playoffs, but the Detroit Tigers are, Erica, and they're playing Houston. We hope to knock them out of the playoffs, Brian Byers, just so you know, our rivalry. So I've been talking about Access Control Project for longer than you want to hear. It's been going on longer than we hoped. However, bless you. However, we are currently in the Central and East Tower on about floor 14 or 15 today. And so we'll continue to work our way down that part of the building, and then we'll get to the balance of our perimeter doors and any amenity spaces that we have. So we will be completed, we hope, by next month, and we're extremely excited. I'm hoping that you've already received your key from the reception center and it's working well for you. It is a much better system for we staff and super excited to get that project done as we continue to work with newer technology. We had a presentation from Otis that came, and I wanted to do a follow-up that we are actually still waiting for them to give us some data, because they said they were going to do what they defined as a deep dive into some of the activities of predominantly our North Tower elevators. And we anticipate them being able to debrief we staff about what they learned. And if it's more complicated and so forth, we can have them come back and present to the community like they had, or it may just be an update perhaps that I can provide as part of my operational updates at a fireside chat. So we haven't forgotten, and I'm sure you haven't either, but we owed some information back to you about elevators that Otis was going to get to us. And I've also been talking about Comcast. Speaking of, a lot of us were hoping to have Root Sports to watch the Mariners, or perhaps not, based on our offensive output. But we did learn, and I have mentioned, and there'll be a communication that I provided Emily that she'll share, is that we have to redo all of the infrastructure cabling in the community for the new cable boxes that we upgraded to. And so that took much longer than we hoped. They had to bring in another company to do an analysis. They had to get a projection of cost to get it approved, etc. I'm hoping to actually just get a schedule by next month of when that work begins. So it has really been drawn out. I apologize. If you've ever called Comcast for service, is it kind of, I guess this is just a head scratcher, but maybe not. It's very frustrating for you as well, and I apologize. We did upgrade to the new service that we have and all the community TV stations that we have. So down in the wellness space and some of the other areas, we did put those new cable boxes in and up in assisted living. So once I know the schedule, I will certainly communicate that, and I apologize. I end up sending them a message periodically like, do you have anything I can share with my community, please? And so I apologize. We have been bugging them or asking them about it. So I want to talk about our West Wing impact of the West Tower that it'll have in our North Tower Bridge is what we're calling that. And so the leadership team of the executives and director devoted several hours on a retreat to talk about the topic, about the impacts for our staff and for our residents with these activities that are coming up. Furthermore, we talked with our management team about it, and the management team is actively having conversations with our staff to talk about all of this work that's coming up so that we can gather more information and listen to what people are thinking about this impact that it's going to have on staff. So when we think about the timing, there are what I'm calling two phases of this transition. The first phase is when the West Wing gets decommissioned in the first part of 2026, where most of us are very familiar with that date. However, the North Tower Bridge, which is our B3 area where we have some staff space down there, the B2 where there's amenities, and the Parkview Terrace, that's not impacted till a little over a year later. So those aren't at the same time. However, they will overlap until the West Tower opens. So our conversations with the leadership of us and speaking to staff and having conversations with residents, they overlap. So we have to be extremely mindful that those are delayed when they are impacted, yet there is overlap that we must take into consideration for our careful planning. So of those areas, both of the West Wing, if we think about all that is in the West Wing, and of that B3, B2, and the Parkview Terrace on B1 area, there are activities that are displaced. There's storage for residents and staff, and there's activities that have supporting storage that are required. So we will be having, and as I said, starting to have discussions with the key stakeholders for all of those areas, be it the activity, storage, and the activities that require storage. So we are devoted to having focused conversations to listen, to the residents of these key activities and of the storage, and similarly for staff. So we have a list that we have started of all that we believe that's impacted. However, we may have not thought of everything, and I embrace your ideas. And so as we go through this process, as earlier Erica was talking about leaning into certain things, this is a time where we need to lean into our values of trust and integrity of going through this process, and to be respectful and caring of all of those and that is impacted. We need to lean into our value of innovation and being creative as we go through this process. There will absolutely need to be compromises for all of us that we need to think about so that we can get through this successfully. I was here when we did the transition of the space we're standing in right now, the North Tower. There were lots of compromises and difficult times, perhaps, and decisions that we made, but today we're enjoying all of the lovely amenities of the North Tower. We had our assisted living off-site, and our community rose to the occasion to make it happen. Our food and beverage picked up and moved from the north wing to where it is now. We had changed our mail rooms, and we had a lot of transitions that we did during that time, so this community today can enjoy what we have. And we're going to be going through that again, and I know with the leadership that we have of the staff, the creativity of the staff, the leadership and the collaboration of the residents will help us get there successfully. And so as we think about our planning and timing, and I always want to put subject to change, right, is however, between now and the end of the year is when we'll be having these conversations to listen and gather information about those impacted areas and ensure that what we believe is impacted is on our quote-unquote list. We'll be evaluating opportunities for being creative on-site and off-site. And then as we get into next year, we'll have our drafted decisions. So we hope and plan that we'll have decisions by the first quarter, if not sooner for some of these. Some are more complicated than others. However, we still must devote ourselves to making decisions early enough for planning appropriately. And if we have off-site storage or other activities, then we need to plan for transportation to get our staff or materials to and from those locations. And then as we look into 2025, then we need to start planning those spaces that are going to be an alternative area for the activities and or storage. And we'll really start honing in on more precise decisions as we get further into next year. And then approximately a year from now, we'll start thinking about having to relocate the items at the end of 25 so that we have vacated our west wing and celebrate the success that we as a community have made to get to that point, because it'll be very successful with all of your collaboration with the staff leadership. And it is certainly a challenge, but we have never shied away from that at Horizon House to continue to be on the cutting edge of an excellent community that we are. And then, of course, the phase 2 is our North Bridge that we talked about, that we'll start working on those as well. But we need to decide on those spaces, like I said, in advance. So there are changes in the season, as Erica talked about, and there are changes in our community. And I or others of the leaders will start working with folks that are the key stakeholders and look forward to listening to you and making these transitions successful. With that, speaking of our campus, Eli is going to talk about some changes that are currently happening.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll be brief because we're running a little bit behind. There's still a couple more people speaking after me, so if you need to leave, we understand. We won't take it personally. So I'll be quick. Speaking of running a little bit behind, assisted living project is underway. This is what it looks like now. A lot of progress since the last time we showed you, and I assure you that by next fireside chat, it'll be complete. It'll be complete. However, it will not be open. So it's a technicality. The reason for it is we need fire finals. We need the fire marshal to approve everything and sign off. So recently, the fire marshal's office has had new administration, and we're hearing that they're going around to various properties. We're not the only one, where they, you know, what they would consider deficiencies in the past that are passable. They're being a little bit more particular, and they want us to clear these troubles from our fire panel. Well, we do that, but however, new ones emerge that are also very explained, you know, are well explained, but the timing of this project coincides with our confidence testing, okay? And so because of that, we fully expect that the fire marshal will likely not give us our fire final on time. So if you happen to know somebody in the fire marshal's office, you know, feel free to put them in touch with me. All right. Yeah. So we are making really good progress, and the work itself really is expected to finish by next month this time. And then as far as the future projects that we have coming up, we have assisted living offices on the second floor where the memory care used to be, where you know, temporary food services are. As soon as everything moves out of there to the serveries, we'll begin creating an activity room for the assisted living residents and also the assisted living offices. We'll also, you know, coming up in 2025, a little bit of work on the University Cafe, and then the terrace dining room refresh is expected in 2026. And then finally, the lobby is further on down the road. But that's all I have. Oh, that is what, so the bistro. It won't be anything like the existing bistro. It's going to be an entire new space, proper new space, that we're tentatively calling the University Cafe, since it will extend out to University Street. Good question. All right. And then finally, yes, don't forget, on the floor just below us, on B2, thank you, B1, we're on the first floor. So on B1, outside Brian Holtz's office, over there near the North Tower elevators, we have the hallway with all of the design, the boards for these projects, and a timeline, so feel free to look at that. And also there's a comment box, as many of you already know. So please, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to either be anonymous, or if you'd like me to get in touch with you, just indicate that and I'll give you a call. All right, thank you very much. Moving on, we have Jeff Townley. That's for you.
And you, Eli. Thank you very much. Welcome, everyone. I apologize that I'm not in blue today, but where I'm from, it's orange. It's Orange Friday, so that's what I'll be wearing. Just a couple quick updates for us from Food Services. Wanted to first share some beautiful photos that Adrian took for us from the resident picnic. It was a great event. The Love Boat theme. Food was great and everything. The whole setup and the flow of it, I thought, was just very smooth. There wasn't a long wait for the food ever, and I got to give a lot of kudos to Oliver on that, because he worked his butt off getting that picnic ready. I think he was here pretty late the night before, and then came in 5:30 in the morning the day of to make sure everything was set up and ready to roll. So, you know, I just want to give some shout out and kudos to him. And then secondly, I just want to talk about communicating with dining services. You know, we have a tough job here of servicing up to 400 different residents with different tastes, different allergies, different opinions on food and everything like that. So it's a tough job, and we need help from everybody to help us improve. So feedback is always appreciated, whether it's good feedback or negative feedback. And, you know, we have many different ways of getting that feedback to us. We have comment cards which are located on the host stand in front of the terrace dining room. You know, we collect those, we track those, we look for trends with the comments and things like that, so those are very helpful for us. Open Table has a review system, so when you've made a reservation with us through Open Table, you should get an email follow-up after your reservation where you can input a review there, and we get reports on those weekly, and we look for trends there as well. One thing I definitely want to touch on is when you're dining with us in the dining room and there's something not right, we want to hear about it right then and there. You know, we need to address that situation. If the food is cold, if your salmon is overcooked or undercooked or your steak's overcooked, you know, we want to know that in real time and fix it for you because we want you to enjoy that food while you're there. So, you know, we ask, don't be afraid that you're going to upset the server if you send the food back or ask for a manager. We want that from you, you know. And what's not helpful is to, you know, save up your complaints, you know, things that haven't gone right for a couple weeks and then kind of unleash them on us, because then it's hard for us to go back to a certain day and evaluate what happened, maybe talk to staff about food preparation and things like that. You know, and a good example is just with different preferences with 400 people, like broccoli is something that's come up a lot. So our standard is that we'll cook the broccoli to, you know, a doneness, but that's firm and crisp, which a lot of people like that. However, there are also people that would prefer their broccoli or their other vegetables on the softer side. And so, you know, it's a hard thing to balance. So let your server know. Just, you know that we're going to try to cook it a little crisper, but if you like it softer, just let your server know. They can type that into the instructions, and we can prepare the food for you like that. So it's things like that that will definitely help us to improve, you know, and create a better dining experience for everybody. So, and email as well. Don't ever hesitate to shoot myself, Steve, an email. You know, it's a good way to communicate with us in a quick, direct contact as well. So that's all I got. I didn't have any pictures, but thanks for everyone that came out last night. We had the Oktoberfest buffet. It was a great event. We had about 150 people come through. Oliver had some wonderful decorations up. We had the music going. Michael from the garage didn't stick around, but he was walking around today with his lederhosen on and everything, which I thought was pretty cool. So, you know, it's always good to have some help from the other departments. So that's all I got. And I think next we got Partners in Caring. So Patty Flowers and Sue Jones.
Hi, Patty and I have been co-chairs this year for our fundraising that we do every year at Horizon House to support certain activities. We are very happy to say that as of now, we have raised $440,000, all due to you and your generous giving, which we always appreciate. Thank you. As you know, we go until the end of the year, and our goal for the year is $500,000. So there's plenty of time for anybody who would like to give or would like to give more. We welcome any gifts of any amount, and thank you again for that. Your gift to the endowment supports three things: residence assistance, which supports our people who may have run out of money for no fault of their own, and it supports their ability and our wish to keep them here at Horizon House, and that has been a fund we've had for many years and used so gratefully. It also supports staff scholarships and the scholarships of the children of staff members, and we have, as you know, we've had programs on that. We have a number of people who have finished degree programs and who are pursuing higher education or professional education in some way or another. Very wonderful. And finally, we support you support the enrichment grants that we have to make a variety of activities that enrich our life here at Horizon House. So thank you. That's what we buy when we spend these dollars that we're so grateful for. And as I said, the campaign runs for the whole calendar year, so December 31st is the end. There are ways, just to remind you, that there are many ways to contribute to this fund. It depends on what your preferences are. You can do a stock transfer. Many of us do try to give through our required minimum distributions from our IRAs, and I discovered this
way later than I should have. I did that this year. You should talk to your accountant or look at the tax rules, because there is a tax effect that's beneficial to many people for that. So I encourage you to look at that. It's been very helpful for me, and I, again, wish I'd figured it out a lot sooner. Of course, check, cash, credit card, we will always take. Happy to have that. And we have a number of people, a lot of people here who have named Horizon House in their estate plans. That is another way to do it. So you have a variety of things that work for you, and we hope that you will remember to look at those as you're thinking about what you want to do. So again, thanks.
Yes, thank you very much. We really appreciate you guys. Now, why is this not working?
It's working.
Ways to contribute to Partners in Caring? I know. Ah, there we go. Okay. Yeah, whether your gift is large or small, it does matter. And don't forget that this goes year round. Reach out to Charlene or Ruth Ann in the philanthropy office if you have any questions. The stock transfer was one of the new things that sort of came up, and they can help you with that. So we really do thank you. Now, what's going to happen? Now, see, it's not going. All right, there we go. We want to say that we are going to get out of the way a little bit. Partners in Caring goes through the whole year, but at this time of year, what we do is we step aside because there is a new short-term philanthropy going on, that's going to be going on, sponsored by the Residents Council. And it's the Employee Gift Fund is what we're calling it in October and November. And what that is the Christmas party. And when we take up money for our employees, and this money goes to the employees at the party. It's a separate thing from us. It's not us. But it's very, very important. We don't give our employees tips or things like that, and this is the time to pay them back. And to tell you a little bit more about it, we are going to call Sam Sperry up. Where's Sam? Okay, here he comes. And it's sponsored by the Residents Council. This is not anything from Horizon House. It's you guys completely. Ready for you, Sam.
Thank you. So I want to start by repeating, bear with me, that this is an entirely different program from the administration. As you know, the Residents Council is a separate 501c3 and manages the funds that come from the Monday market, with the exception of this campaign, which is called now the Employees Gift Fund. First off, I want to introduce my co-chair on this, Marcia Almquist. Marcia, I think you're here. Stand up and wave, yes. This is an effort where it takes two to tango, and believe me, we're tangoing right now. So I'm here today to tell you that on Tuesday, the 1st of October, you will get the solicitation letter in your cubby, and really it explains all the details of the campaign and how you can participate. I'll just summarize that briefly this morning. But the critical aspect of this, as most of you know, is our way once a year to thank the people that make our lives great here. There are over 300 employees, and most of those people you and I never see, but they're as equally as important as the folks that set up the chairs for this meeting today, that do all of the other services, that helped me the other day with a new sound bar for my TV. They came right up upstairs and got it done. It's terrific. The campaign runs through the 1st of October, to November the 15th. And I want to emphasize three critical elements of this program. 100% of the contributions that we get go to the employees in the form of gift checks. And last year there were 4 tiers of amounts that employees got. It's all dependent on the number of hours that they worked during the year. So a full-time employee would get the full amount. And then that backs down to 3 other levels depending on the number of hours they worked. So even people who come in new, depending on the shorter hours they work, are entitled to receiving a check. The other thing that is very important, and a lot of people don't understand yet, is that anytime one of us attempts to give some form of remuneration to an employee, we are threatening their job status here. They are required not to accept those kinds of gifts. And however generous and much we love these folks and appreciate what they do for us, that's the rule. It applies to them and it applies to us. It's important, I think, that we know that. The folks who get the checks are basically all the employees except for the 3 top executives. And this includes the dining staff. And the reason for that is we, in effect, are paying the salaries through for the dining staff and the kitchen crew through Morrison. So they're here every day, just like the maintenance staff and the folks who clean apartments and stuff. So they are also eligible for a gift check, and that depends on the hours that they work. Typically, we get the question, well, how much should I give? And the answer is whatever you want to give. We never tell people of an amount, and we will get amounts small and medium and large, and they are all welcome. What we do ask is give something. We would really like to hit the 100% participation number. It's very good. Last year we had a little over 78% of the resident community that contributed. This year, Marcia and I would like to punch through 80 or 90. But again, it's what people feel comfortable giving, and that's up to them. This donation can only be by check. No cash, no credit cards. It's got to be by check. And this year, we've tried to shorten what you have to write on your check. Last year, it was too long. I couldn't fit it all on mine. So what we're saying is, and you'll see this in your letter, when you fill out your check, make it out to Residence Council EGF, and that should allow you to fit that into the space on your check. Another thing that's important as we process this is with your envelope there is a donor form, and if you would please fill that out, that makes it easier for us as we process through. And we're going to get well over 300 checks, and so anything you can do to make handling this paperwork easier is appreciated. And so filling out this donor form, stick it in the little envelope with your check, and then you can deposit it in the wall box in the mailroom on the same side as the shredding machine there. Yeah, don't stick it in the shredder. Hadn't thought of that. Also, as with Partners in Caring, a number of you like to donate through your IRA distribution. What we've discovered is that the lovely bank and brokerage that you deal with can be very, very slow. So if you decide that you want to make a donation with your IRA, which is terrific, do it as soon as you possibly can. We typically will get maybe as many as a dozen, 10 or 11 checks that will come in right around the 14th or the 15th. And of course, we'll process those. If it comes in later, you will get an acknowledgement form as having made a contribution in 2024 for the purposes of your tax return. However, if the money comes in and is deposited on November the 16th, that will go to the fund for the next year. So it's all other things being equal, but we have to have a cutoff date in order to be able to manage this, because there's a process that goes through in terms of making the calculations and all of the accounting to get the checks available for employees at the Christmas party. So that's an important matter of timing. I want to close by saying something that is, I think, really important, and that is that this community is a paragon of generosity. It is humbling when you think about what folks do, particularly with this campaign, but in other ways too. And when I think of community in this context of the gift fund, I think of the fact that we're interdependent. We depend on our staff for the many services that help us directly or indirectly, and of course for the people that we don't see. They are dependent on us for their jobs and what they earn to support themselves and their families and for the other things that they use their income for. So there is a real connection there, I think. I just want to thank you in advance. I know there will be another outpouring of generosity this year for the Employee Gift Fund project, but to remind us all that this campaign is one of the distinguishing characteristics of the Horizon House community. This is a caring community, and this is one way in which we get to say thank you to those folks. So thank you for that, and I'm going to turn it back over, I believe, to Erica, who's going to wrap things up. Thank you for your attention. Yes. Yeah, that's a good point. On your donor form, if you're going to use your IRA, put that down. What we will do with that, when we process checks twice a week. We have a team of 6 people that goes through that. And our procedure will allow us to take your donor form and we will set it aside so that we know to expect a check that's going to come in. And as Deanna was just saying, and I'll repeat that, let us know that you're doing that. Sometimes the checks that will come from your bank or your brokerage will have no identifying mark on it. And it can be very difficult for us to track it down because we can't ask everybody, did you make a check out to us for XXX? So that's important. Thank you, Deanna, for that. Okay, it's your turn. Oh, we're way over time, I see.
Thank you so much. We have such a wonderful philanthropic community. It blows my mind that our residents donate almost about $1 million a year here, or sometimes over $1 million a year here. All right, I appreciate everybody for hanging with us. We'll make it brief, but I want to have a couple of things I want to make sure you know. As you know, we have an ad hoc committee that's been active since January, and we are having our first event where we are welcoming people from the outside who are either from communities of color or they are influencers in communities of color. We're inviting them to Horizon House. So if you see guests on Tuesday, October 1, please help them feel welcome. We are gaining feedback from this body of people that we've invited. Many have come, through you. You've invited them to come, and we're going to be asking them for feedback. We want to know how we can encourage more people from communities of color to come live at Horizon House, and we want to understand why they don't now. And so if you have any other suggestions for future lunches, please let me know. Want to let you know we are having a resident happy hour on Tuesday, October 22nd from 4 to 5 in the Fireside Lounge. I hope that you will come. It'll be a great opportunity for us to fellowship and have a great time this fall and get to know each other. Remember, if there are people on your floor that don't typically come out, they typically are not engaged with the community, please invite them. We want to make sure that we have a chance to meet everyone who lives here. I want to go over a couple of bright spots. Just so you know, there were painting and games up in assisted living this month, which is so much fun. There were cooking and outings with assisted living this month. So very, very active month. We had the staff picnic. That was a great time. We had axe throwing. It was rubber axes, but it was great. We had a camp theme. It was a lot of fun. I will tell you, I don't know how they're going to top next year because the camping thing was so fun. We had Smokey the bear. We've had 2 marriages. It's a time for love at Horizon House. So Eli Lemansky, who is just here, and Jacinta, who many of you know, who is a can-do caregiver, got married about 2 weeks ago today, actually, Friday the 13th. So if you didn't know, please wish Eli and Jacinta congratulations. We also had Andrew and Wellis and Julianne, who got married this month. So lots of love at Horizon House. All right. I will hang around if anybody has any questions. Our next Fireside Chat is the 25th of October. And enjoy your weekend. If you have any questions or things you want to share, I'll hang by and here. Thank you.